What's up, guys? 'Tis I, Carlton. I have returned. Some of you might remember me formerly as Optic Carlton. I don't really retain the title anymore. Well, it's been a long time, so I'm just kind of easing back into this thing. I'm still obviously on really good terms with Hex and Jones and all them, like really good friends of mine. And I just wanted to start this new podcast, get back into the culture, get back into the gaming sort of stratosphere as it were. And I really wasn't interested in doing videos anymore, just because I never really, I never really felt like I put out really great content in terms of gaming. I think that my strengths were much more rested into the commentary that I provided, and that's what I always enjoyed doing. Like, to me, getting good clips and stuff was always more about what like a thing I had to do to make a commentary, if that makes sense. So a brief introduction, maybe for those of you who don't know who I'm new to and all of that. My name is Carlton, obviously. I've been playing video games for the better part of my life. In 2006, I purchased an Xbox 360 and Call of Duty 2. And I played Call of Duty 2 quite a bit. And competed on a very limited scale. That was, back in those days, there really wasn't, maybe for some of you, I say back in those days for younger players, like maybe you were 10 years old or whatever, but there wasn't, gaming competitively was much smaller. Like, there was not a lot of an audience for that kind of thing, and it was still more about getting an Xbox and playing like with your friends, and at that point Xbox Live had only been around for I think like 5 years or something like that, like 4 years when it came into the first Xbox. So that was kind of, I think, the beginning of like the gaming, like the competitive Call of Duty gaming thing. That's I think where the seeds were definitely planted, was Call of Duty 2. And so I played that, and I noticed that I was like pretty good, not great, but I was relatively good at the game. And I met a fellow on there. His name was something else back then. It was Crew Killers or something. But anyway, I met him, and he had started a clan or had one, and we talked and stuff after we had played a couple games, and I tried out and got in with him. And actually, that clan sort of hung around for a little bit, played some games. And back then, I guess the big thing was like ladder sites, like Game Battles. I think was around. I'm pretty sure Game Battles. Yeah, Game Battles was around, and then there was a couple other different ladder sites, which most of them, if not all of them, are gone now. But that was how you competed. How clans competed on consoles was they would go to these ladder websites, and you register a team, and it was really funny back then, because like you didn't have a lot to work with in terms of spectating and stuff like that. So you couldn't, like, Call of Duty was a 4-on-4 game, but you couldn't ever really do 4-on-4s legitimately, because there had to be a ref, and the ref would just be like in spectator mode when the other two teams would be playing each other, which is like ridiculous now, but that's how you had to do stuff back then. And so we did that. We played, and we got we weren't like amazing, but we were pretty good, like in the in that scene, I guess, if you could call it that back then. And at one point we met this other clan, and I guess we all thought we were like good, and we would be better together. So we came up with this idea of, I guess you could call it like a merger, as it were. And it was this clan called, I believe, ACM, and then our clan was called Dog Company. And so they were like, let's do it. And then like we went through this process where we voted on all these names and stuff, and somebody came up with Optic, and like that stuck for some reason. I remember I hated that name. I was like, that's so dumb, but that name stuck. So we continued to do that. We did the ladder site thing, and that sort of kind of grew, and eventually, I do remember at one point, I met a fellow named Hex and his brother, it's funny, like, he's got such this, like, very bombastic, like, over the top sort of, like, personality. He's really loud and stuff. But I remember, like, when I first met him, he didn't talk very much, like, on the mic, and we'd be playing games. He was kind of a quieter guy. But I met him, and also I had met Jones back then as well, Optic J. And, we played, we had fun, and we all met up. Diesel had gotten involved at that point as well, and then we had all met up the first time I believe we met up was we went to MLG Dallas. But I don't think Call of Duty wasn't a game yet. I think the Gears of War was the game or something. Anyway, we all met up at MLG Dallas and hung out there. We progressed, and we ended up, I think, actually the first time I met Hex in person was at just this random gaming place in Orlando. They had a Call of Duty 4 tournament. So me and Jones and Hex went and competed together, and I think that was probably the first time that Optic ever competed in a thing, like in a LAN event. And it was me, Hector, and Jones, and we had, I think we placed third in the tournament over like 25 teams. So we were like, sweet. I guess that's where we were. We kind of kept playing, and I was still in high school at the time, but then I reached college age, of course. So I went to school, and I really lost, I guess, sort of interest in gaming because I started going out a lot, and I was doing like sports and theater and all this stuff. So like my less and less of my time, I had less and less time to commit to playing video games, especially like when you start doing this competitive thing. It takes time because you actually have to like commit to like playing games and stuff and all that jazz. And I really, as I sort of reached like late teens, that stuff held much less interest to me. I mean, it was competing with like girls and stuff. So yeah, I sort of like, I kind of fell off a little bit. I didn't really play and stuff. I would still play with Jones, but we would just kind of play together as friends, and then I would drop in and see what Hex is doing. But at that point, like, a lot of different players had come in, and like I didn't really know anybody, so it was just kind of like I would hang out with Jones, and then we would hang out with Hex sometimes and play. And then while I was in school, I just got in Wild Hair one night, and I talked to Hex on like in a game. I talked to him, and he was showing me this thing he was doing now, where they were like, yeah, we do these sniper matches now, and it's like all snipers and stuff, and I was like, what? Whack. But they were really good, obviously, and they were, I think at the time, they were like undefeated at sniping, and then like this season thing, they were just like unbeatable. So that kind of, and then I don't know if they started that or it was coincidental, but after they did that, that's when like the whole everyone's a sniper and let's do cool like sniper things started happening. So I remember when Hex put out this video, like the Modern Warfare 2, the first Modern Warfare 2 montage, I guess, because it came out, I want to say right when the game came out or just prior to it, and that, I think that's the probably like the moment when Optic really started to take off, and people really watched like a lot of the videos, and the YouTube videos were getting a lot of views, so they that stuff kind of started catching my attention, and I was hanging out with Jones more, and he was like, yeah, me and Diesel were back, we're playing with Hex, we're making videos and stuff. So I kind of like approached Hex, and I was like, this looks real fun, man. How do you feel about me getting back in the game? He's like, dude, come on. So I was like, sweet. Man, I know that sounded real intelligent. He was like, dude, come. So I was like, all right, sweet. So anyway, I came back, and I made a channel, and I had a PVR, and I recorded, and I did commentaries and stuff with them, and we did stuff on Machinima, and I had a blast, man. And I really liked hanging out with Hex and Jones. Like, they were very much friends, and I think I valued that much more than like playing the games, was hanging out with my friends. Lifelong, I can like talk. I feel like I can talk to Jones and Hex about anything. They're really good guys. So anyway, sentimental moment aside, so there we were making content and getting YouTube views and stuff, and then the next point I remember after that was when Nadeshot. I don't know if Nadeshot approached Hex or Hex approached me. I don't know how, but at some juncture, Nadeshot and Hex met up, and he was kind of like, because I guess Nade was like known as he was good. He was more of a competitive player to whatever extent. I mean, I didn't really know him or know of him beforehand, so I can't really speak on like the history prior to that. But he was good, and I think this was at the time when the Optic brand, I guess Hex's like idea was to sort of get into. We had the content thing down. We had the entertainment like content on YouTube down. Hex wanted to really get involved in competition again. I mean, which we had done before, but very limited like stuff. So he got Nadeshot, and then I guess Nadeshot had recruited some other people. I remember Merc. That's the first time I met Merc when they started doing that. And I don't remember the other two kids that were there, but there was two other guys. But anyway, so it was Nadeshot, Merc, and these like two other guys, and Hex sort of was guiding them around and got them, sort of showed them the benefits of how being with Optic you could do competitive gaming, but you still get to like retain the Optic thing, which in that like all the benefits that brings on the YouTube side. So so that's like, I guess, where the competition, I believe that was in MLG Dallas in 2000 and maybe 10, I want to say 2010, 2011, somewhere in there. And I actually came down for that one, and we hung out, had a good time, had fun. And I guess at that point they realized that they were good because they were placing well and doing better and better. And eventually, I remember I was still kind of doing content and stuff, and then I went to another MLG where I had met some of the other players like Proofy and people like that, and it just kind of kept going and going, and I was still sort of doing my YouTube thing, but I really, like, as time went on, I really, in a lot of ways, lost interest in, I guess, the direction that YouTube gaming content was going, and how it was becoming like very commercialized. And like when you started seeing YouTube videos with like tiles on them, you know what I mean, where like people just have like a photo, like it used to be, right? You'd have a YouTube video with like a kick-ass title and then a screenshot of the game, whatever. But then when like it started to get real, I guess you could say commercial. When it started to get real commercial, I lost interest, and I realized like the only thing I ever really wanted to do was just like play games with the Hex, Diesel, and Jones and them. I didn't really have the patience or the effort to continue doing the YouTube thing. And then at the same time all this was going on, I was still in school and working a lot, and then I enlisted in the Army Reserve, which took even more time. And so I was kind of still towards the end. This year, talking like 2012, I was doing a little bit of stuff. I was doing more like, I'd moved, my channel had moved to more like vlogging stuff, and I had I just, like I said, I had lost interest, and I was doing like the odd vlog video here and there, and then I guess when I really dropped off is in 2013, early 2013, I mobilized for a deployment to Afghanistan in support of Operation Enduring Freedom. So pretty much all of 2013 and half of 2014, I was either getting ready for or deployed in Afghanistan. So that brings us, I guess, to today. I got back. I went to Best Buy and I purchased a microphone, and I decided, I want to do this again. I want to interact with the culture again, because in some ways I do miss it. I miss hanging out with people. I miss because I remember like sort of seeing this gaming thing from its infancy, its very little like humble beginnings, to this very sophisticated thing now that companies are putting money behind, and like the rate at which MLG has grown has been exponential. And so I think I kind of thought what I had to offer was perhaps a perspective of gaming in general that had a little bit of perspective, because of I saw a kind of pretty good picture of what it was, what it was like in the beginning up until now. And maybe I'm not so much up to speed now on what's going on. I've looked into things and I've tried to get sort of like a really solid understanding of what the scene of gaming really is, and how much it's changed. And it has changed a lot. I can tell from what I can tell. I think obviously Nadeshot is essentially a celebrity now, which is very interesting to me. I think shout out to you, Nade. Good looking out. But so these are all things that I kind of and now there's a lot of money in it now and stuff. These are things that I did. So when I was much more involved. So I guess a wish to sort of get back involved and talk to people and discuss things that I think are relevant and that the gaming culture might appreciate as a whole. Essentially, I guess my history, where I came from, in terms of the whole gaming thing. So I hope to bring a lot of content, and I don't really know where it's going to go from here. I do want to try and put one out once a week, and I guess maybe I could gauge the interest, and if people like it, then great, I'll keep doing it. But if it's just like, yeah, dude, whatever, shut up, then I'll just like quietly go back into my like regular guy life. But so without saying any more, I know I talk a lot and I talk fast sometimes. Without saying any more, this has been Carlton, and we're gonna have to do a title for this thing. I guess we'll do like something like Carlton's Corner. That'll work. That works for me. If that works for you. But it was good to talk to you again, assuming you're listening, and I will see you guys on the other side.